Welcome back to DC Breakdown. We are joined by our special law enforcement guests, Matthew Fogg and Leigh Maddox. You know, I'm wondering, what will it take to purge law enforcement of all the racists, the bigots, the sexists, the homophobes, etc.? Because these are the people who are their constituents. I go back to your constituents. What's it going to take for that type of person to stop being hired by law enforcement? Because if it's a situation where, well, millennials are coming in and they have a different attitude towards race and towards, but we have to deal with folks our age, folks older than us that are still in law enforcement that may have bigoted and sexist and homophobic and whatever ways of doing things, and they bring that to the table with them every day when they come to work, because all of us bring our lives with us on our jobs, whether we want to admit it or not. You know, I am impacted by whatever's happened to me, the same with the two of you and everyone in this room. What's it going to take to get fair law enforcement to care about all constituents? Leigh?
We have to end the drug war.
I agree.
We have to take the police officer and put them back into the peace officer mode. We have to stop accepting military equipment. And we've got to get serious about learning who the community is and what their needs are. And we've got to get out of the way of doctors and nurses who are trying to treat addiction and stop making it worse by putting people in jail.
Treat it as an addiction. Don't put people in jail. Why is it? It's that simple. What's so difficult about it? What's hard for them?
Again, it's a culture, and I have to count on those other officers to back me up. It's like when I got in the SWAT team, everybody had to agree on the person that came into the SWAT team. So if everybody didn't agree, that person would not come into the team. The same way with law enforcement. You have to have, I always say this, you have to have oversight over oversight. Mm-hmm. You have to have always watchdogs watching the watchdogs, because the culture can get out of control very easily.
Tell me why very easily.
Because all it takes is one individual in that command and control environment to be a racist or have racist attitudes, have biasness, again, and then that person will, everybody who's be under him or wants to move up, please that individual. So now you've got that sort of culture developing. Again, we say it all the time, but if it was equal, if I beat white and black the same way, if I had to use my stick or my taser, then what I'm saying, I think the culture would fix itself, because as my manager said, when you go out there and start locking up those affluent people, they're going to say, we need to change the policy.
Well, now they have a defense. What is it, the affluenza of defense?
Right.
There's a defense for that now.
Well, again,
rich people defense.
Well, but I'm saying the point is they're not going to want to see their sons and daughters in jail in this drug war. So they're going to step up to the politicians and they're going to say, we need to change the policy. It's not about no longer locking them up. It's about health over incarceration.
That is what's happening now. That's the get out of jail free card that they get. And what's interesting is, because I love television and I love crime procedurals. Okay, I really wanted to be a police officer, to be honest with you. So I have an obsession with it. And I watch it on TV. It bears out on TV. I look at how white suspects are treated on TV versus black suspects. It's amazing. I look at how it's handled in the courtroom. It mirrors reality.
That's right.
And it's scary.
That's right.
Because I'm so in tune to it now.
That's right.
Let's talk about the blue wall of silence, because does it include everyone who is on your force? Or are some of you outside of the boundary of it? And when what happened in Ferguson happened, there were 3 African-American police officers on the force. The decision, obviously, to not release the name of Darren Wilson for a week or whatever, that requires a blue wall of silence on everyone's part, because the black officers didn't leak, nothing was leaked. Does the blue wall of silence apply to you as an African American, to you as a woman? Do you feel like you're a part of that?
Well, yes, no doubt about it. I mean,
so you think they would have your back? The blue wall of silence would, if anything went down, your other officers would have your back, and they would not talk to anyone else about your situation.
It depends on what goes down.
Okay.
I mean, if it's something that looks like it's going to be, probably a justified shoot or whatever, yes, we do closed ranks, we do issue gag orders, we do everything we can to manage the communication going out to the public until we know for sure what happened.
Because that
but
is
if
important.
you've got a guy going around on the Beltway and pulling people over and raping women, a serial rapist, they are not going to be included in the Blue Wall of Silence.
Yeah.
The police are going to cut them from the pack, and they are going to be on their own to deal with the consequences of their behaviors.
Right. I mean, and just like Captain Maddox said, there are certain ways it's done. But what I'm saying overall, what I say is the race part transcends all lines.
Right.
So what it happens is I'm going to always feel, even in my department, I mean, if I got to file we got to have a class action against the whole U.S. Marshal Service, and you got class actions against Maryland State Police, against the alcohol, tobacco, and farm.
Yeah.
When you say class action, you're talking about now an action that is class oriented. It covers the whole group of people. Yeah. So now everybody's saying, look, I was treated similarly. So now when you got that going on in law enforcement, then you imagine if the internal agents are saying
right.
we are dealing with racism, imagine what these folks gonna do to people on the street.
That's right.
I mean, that's what I always say. If I got to fight with a bigot with a badge on the inside, the people on the street don't stand a chance. End of the story.
That's right. And this is personal, and I apologize, but I need to know, how do you get promoted when you are surrounded by potentially people at the top who don't like you because you're a woman?
They outsource parts of it. So the parts that are subjective, they hire a consulting firm to come in with experts that will sit on the panels that aren't on the police department. At least that's what we did in the Maryland State Police.
Okay.
So that you can have that level of impartiality. That's the reason I was able to make my way up through the ranks.
I got you. You're schooling me. I didn't know that.
I mean, yeah, they can do that, but again, by the time it gets to that level, there's already the damage, so much damage has already been done. And it's always something that happens where there has to be somebody has to be forced to made to do certain things
right.
like that. Because usually those internal officers will group together and they say, we can do this, we can handle this, we know what we're doing. Just like I'm sure Captain Maddox being a female, and let me tell you, when you're talking about an alpha male system, law enforcement is an alpha male system.
Absolutely.
So women really catch it. So, and I know the director of the Marshal Service, Stacy Hilton, I know when Stacy came in and Stacy got in our SWAT team thing, Stacy met all kinds of resistance from men not thinking a woman could be in a SWAT team and all of that. I was there, I know that. So what I'm saying to you is this is what the same that women have to deal with. A person, now imagine being a female and then black on top of that.
That's called a twofer. We'll be right back with more from our panel.